Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Brushstrokes with Mrs. Broderick. So today we are going to be doing a painted paper collage. So what I wanted to do before we first got started is to show you some examples of what collage is. If you look at some of the books written by Eric Carle, this one is called The Tiny Seed. He creates all of the paper that's used to create these beautiful images. So he's taking different types of paper with different colors, cutting them up and putting them back together to create a beautiful scene. And you can see, if you look really closely, you can see all the brush strokes. So we're going to be kind of inspired by that today and take a look at some of the landscapes that he's made. This is an opportunity for you to get a little bit of inspiration. This one's pretty cool. So if you have any Eric Carle books at home, take a quick look at them before we get started to maybe give you some ideas about different textures you want to create on your paper before we get to painting, okay? So I'm going to show you what materials you're going to need and then we're going to get started. All right, friends, for today's project, you're going to need at least 5 to 6 pieces of small paper, a pencil, watercolors, a paintbrush, water, a glue stick. I'm going to be using oil pastels. You can use those if you have them. If you don't have those, you can use crayons or markers. All right, let's get started on painting our paper. All right, friends, so what I have here is I have 5 pieces of paper all laid out so that I can get ready to paint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 5 different colors. So I'm going to use a light green, a darker kind of bluish green, a black, a light blue, and then reds and oranges. So I'm going to use these colored pieces of paper to create my landscape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up here with some light green. So now usually what I tell you is to make sure that all of your colors are going, or your paint strokes are going in all of the same direction. Well, this project, I want you to get crazy. I want your brush strokes to go all over the place. Experiment with using lots of water to make your color really light. Experiment with using barely any water to see if you can make your colors really dark. Okay, and you can see I'm just layering my color on. I just want to fill the page with color. Okay, and you can do different. Like I'm using all green right now, but you could go back in and you could add a little bit of yellow if you wanted to kind of make a different shade of green. You could do a little bit of maybe some of this blue in here to give you some different tones, color. All right, so I've got my light green one done. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly go through and paint the rest of these. So I'm going to do this one, kind of a greenish blue color. I'm going to do a black, a light blue, and then reds and oranges. Okay, so follow along with me. finished painting my paper, and you can see that I've used different shades of colors. I've also just been crazy with my paintbrush, going all over the place to give it a little bit of texture and depth, something interesting to look at. All right, so this is step 1. Think about ways that you can use the paintbrush to create different lines or different line designs. You could even do a little bit of splatter painting. All right, so good start, and then we're gonna move on to the next step. But remember to give your paper a little bit of time to dry, okay? Okay, step 2. So you wanna get your oil pastels or your crayons out and they're ready to go. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use different shades of the color that you painted with to create some interesting line designs on here. So I'm gonna start just jumping into it. Think about all the crazy line designs you could use. And remember, we're making a landscape out of these pieces of paper. So you may want to think about some different textures or designs you may see in nature. So I've got one done. And I'm gonna move over here to this one. Get crazy, get wild. This part of the project, you just are supposed to be having fun and letting loose and seeing what you come up with, because every little line is an opportunity to like discover something awesome. Okay, so I've got another one done. Now with the black, I'm going to use some white. I'm going to do some swirlies here. And this can be fast. You don't have to spend a ton of time on it. You can if you want to, but don't feel like you have to overthink it. Just jump into it and go for it. Another one. Kind of looks like waves. Overlap the colors to see if you can create different colors. All right, here we go. This is our last one. Ooh, how about some pink? And remember, these are not gonna look anything like this when we're finished, because we're gonna rip them up. We're gonna create something totally different. Okay, so I have my 5 painted and drawn on pieces of paper. And we're gonna get started on the final step, which is actually collaging them. So what you can do is put your materials off to the side, and you will probably have fun with this part of the project. What I want you to do is take your paper and just rip it up into different shapes. Okay, we can always make them smaller. So if you want to start off really big, that's fine. So just take your paper and spend the rest of this time breaking your pieces of paper up into different piles of ripped paper. Okay? Great. All right, while you guys are working on your pieces, let's check in with Mimi to see how she is doing. Mimi, you have been busy with your paper making. Excellent work. Okay, now we're getting into kind of the final stages, and we're actually going to start collaging with our beautiful painted paper. So what you're going to need is a plain sheet of white paper, glue sticks, and a pencil so that we can do a little bit of sketching to start. So remember I said we were going to do a landscape? So I'm going to create my landscape to have a bunch of different types of hills and mountains and then a sky in the background. So I'm just going to carefully sketch that out to start. So I'm going to do a little hill here, And then I'm gonna do another little hill that kind of goes in the opposite direction. Then I'm gonna do kind of a more mountainy type shape here. And then another mountain shape over here. And then that I'm gonna leave just like that. So if you take a look here, I've just created different lines so that I know where each color is going. And I can even go in and write down light green, green, blue, so that I know which colors I'm using. Black, blue, reds, and oranges, because you are going to be covering this up with your painted paper. So just to get started, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work from the bottom up. And I'm gonna use my glue, and I'm just gonna put a bunch of glue down so that I can just start to overlap. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start over here, and then I can cut my paper even more, or rip it, sorry, so that I can start to layer, so I can get all these beautiful green colors on here. And it's okay if you go outside of the line a little bit. This isn't a perfect science, right? We're just having fun and exploring. So what you may need to do once in a while is just put a little bit of glue over the pieces that you've already done so that we make sure that it sticks. So you could use itty bitty little pieces of paper to overlap. You are probably gonna have paper left over so that you could create something else with this. You could do another landscape. You could look through your Eric Carle books and maybe get a little inspiration from him. Maybe you want to create your own story, and instead of drawing the illustrations, you could collage them. That would be fun to do. All right, so I am almost done with this part, and it's okay if you get it off the edge of the paper. We can always go back in and color or cut. So I've got my first layer done. Now you can see that because I did different shades of green with the paint and different designs, it's all kind of coming together to create this really cool texture. So I'm gonna keep going, and you can follow along, or you can take what you've learned here and create your own. But I'm gonna finish up my landscape, so follow along with me if you'd like. right, so here is my finished paper collage landscape. You can see kind of the layers of color that we've used to create kind of an abstract landscape, but you still get the sense of what it is. And at the end, I took some of that light green and I just cut it up to make it look like trees. So let's have fun with this project, and I cannot wait to see what you come up with. All right, you have finished your masterpiece. Let's take a look at little Mimi's masterpiece. Mimi, you did such a great job with your collage. It looks like the rolling hills of Tuscany. Excellent work this week, lady. All right, friends, awesome job today. I hope you had fun doing this project. I know there's a lot of steps to it, and you have to be a little bit patient because you have to wait for paint to dry, but I really enjoyed doing this project because it's just kind of crazy and you can do whatever you want with it. So I'm encouraging you to do a landscape to start. If you want to do something different, that's okay too. And take a look through your Eric Carle books if you have some at home, and maybe he'll give you a little bit of inspiration. And I encourage you to make more than one. See where this paper collage takes you. All right, so have fun doing this project, and I can't wait to see your finished pieces. I will see you next time. Bye.